On early 2009, I had invited my friends Mike and Tom to play some games and watch some television at my house. Everything was going rather smoothly until I decided to watch Nickelodeon. I never thought this would ever happen on the channel before, and I still wonder to this day, how exactly did it even happen? We put the channel on, and what was airing at the time was currently a rerun of the SpongeBob special, Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. However, we could notice something was off. There is no screen bug as usual, as well as visual glitches in the screen, and at first we thought it was just our signal. However, we checked other channels and they were all running pretty fine, meaning that it was definitely the channel itself. However, since there was very few glitches, we thought it was fine and we could still watch it and see what was going on. However, the glitching just got unexpectedly worse. At the part where SpongeBob arrives at the Krusty Krab, the glitching was visibly worse than before and was a lot more intense. We thought that it was a little bit annoying, but we thought Nickelodeon would soon fix it. But it was taking them a little bit too long for them to fix all of the glitching, as it was pretty close to making the episode barely watchable. However, it continuously got worse and worse as the seconds passed by. On the part where SpongeBob slides and hits Mr. Krabs, the glitching got more intense. More colors flickered on the screen, such as gray, and the situation would always be changing every few seconds. Some colors on the screen would also appear glitching. At the part where SpongeBob gets kicked out of the Krusty Krab and starts crying, it crashed twice for about a second, and then another time for about 2 seconds. The glitching was now worse than it ever could be. The frames of the episode now appeared to be all jittery, and every 1 second, a frame would appear where the colors would be replaced, each a split second long. My friends and I were all annoyed. Why wasn't this being fixed? What was taking so long? However, at the part where he leads Bikini Bottom down the road muttering the same words his friends said to him, there was no silence. The only thing we could hear at this point was the faint buzzing noise of our CRT television, as well as a very, very strange faint sound in the background. It didn't end there, though. At the part where he runs away scared by a bunch of weird people he finds in that night and falls off a cliff, the screen froze. Which wouldn't have been so bad, except it was on the part where SpongeBob was lying down on the ground at the distance after falling off the cliff and hitting his head on a bunch of rocks. The scene then cut to black for a few seconds, and then it returned to that same frozen scene, except the glitching was now all gone. It stayed like this for a minute. It cut to a part where SpongeBob was seen on the ground with a long bump on his head. The screen was then zooming out from him and it cut to black. A few seconds later, the screen bug then faded up. It stayed like that for about an hour, and because of this, we had to watch something else. Since we were young at the time, we were pretty much convinced that SpongeBob was dead. An hour later, we put the channel back on, and it was the same black screen for a few seconds before the episode finally returned. The screen bug could still be seen, and it cut to the part where SpongeBob wakes up and hears villagers. There was no audio for a few seconds before the audio finally returned. At this point, everything came back to normal, and there was still weak glitching for a few seconds before it finally stopped. We were glad that it had ended, as well as knowing that SpongeBob was still alive. However, we still had a bunch of questions, and ever since that day, we eventually forgot about this incident. But sometime later, the memory would come back. I searched on the internet to see if there was any recordings of the incident happening live, but I didn't find anything, other than a .wmv video file on a file-sharing website entitled Idiot_Boy. The name reminded me of what SpongeBob friends called him at the beginning of the episode. Intrigued, I downloaded the file to see what it was all about, and luckily, it was a recording of the same incident happening live. I'm glad I could see this again. However, the black screen part was cut, and it didn't last an hour like it had happened on live television. Instead, the black screen in the video lasted for a few seconds before the episode had finally returned. A link to the video itself showing the actual incident will be linked down in the description below. I recommend you guys go and give this a little bit of a check out, because let me tell you one thing right here and right now, it's definitely creepy as all hell. In fear and surprise, as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final haunt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping, horror-driven, nightmarish, gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at any day.